the dashboard here is just kind of a quick overview of your site. Actually, I almost never look at anything here. But occasionally this catches my eye, WordPress news, and I go and I take a look at what's going on, and that's almost always something that was published on WP Tavern, which is kind of one of the key sources of news and information about WordPress. It's somewhat skewed towards developers, but it's still a really good thing to keep an eye on. If you have, or if the security add-on that I use with most WordPress installs tells me in a spot right here how many malicious login attempts have been blocked, and it's very clear when you see that websites are under attack all the time. This particular one is not running on the internet. This is running on my computer right here, so it's not under attack. So we have down the left here all the functions that come with the default install of WordPress. So posts, these are what you would use in a blog, like we said earlier. And when you install WordPress, you get a sample post, and it has a comment, and you get a sample page. And when I said after installing WordPress delete the junk, I'm primarily talking about plugins and themes that you don't need. But this is also junk in the sense that, let's go and visit this page. So this page, this part of the address here is known as the slug, and this is just some, a little bit better than Lorem Ipsum kind of content. And if you go live with your website and one of the slugs is sample page, people are kind of going to roll their eyes when they see your website. So that's one of the things you want to get rid of.
So how do you get rid of that?
Well, so we're going to go back into pages, and if I hover here, I can click edit to edit the page, or I can trash it. So I would just click trash. If for some reason I wanted to get it back, I could get it back from the trash. Let's go back to edit. I'm going to just get rid of this here. So here we're in just a very simple editor, and oops. So it's very easy to do basic editing, and this is the idea of the content management system. You're not dealing with HTML and where this goes on the page and what's alongside it and all that kind of stuff. All you're dealing with is the text, maybe making something italic, maybe making something bold, but you're focusing on your content and you're not dealing with all that extraneous stuff. When you first go in here, if I hover over these buttons, you can see what they do. And they should be pretty familiar because these icons have become almost universal these days. Bulleted list, quotes, alignment, centering. I go here and I say I want that centered. But it's pretty sparse. This little button here, hit that and you get a little bit more. Not a whole lot more, but you get some more useful stuff. So one of the most important things you get is undo. Okay. So you really want to make sure you toggle that toolbar just to get these extra functions. I'm going to redo that. Redo it again. You also get this style thing here. So paragraph is just regular text, and if that should be a heading, you can just choose heading. Whoops. This is why you should never do a live demo. So, there we go, heading 3. So we make a change to the text here. In order to save it, we click Update. If I forgot to do that, and I went to click, oh, now I'm going to go and add a new post to my website, we get this warning. You've made changes. Those changes will be lost if you navigate away. Now, this is actually useful if you make a bunch of changes and then you just want to throw them away. You can just navigate somewhere else, leave the page, and that will all just be thrown away. But in this case, I want to save my change, so I stay on the page and I click Update. So now, I go view that page. That change is live immediately. So when you're working with your WordPress site, you want to constantly be looking at what you did to make sure you did what you intended and that it looks right. Because it's live. I mean, you can work and draft, and I'll show you that in a minute, but assuming you're editing existing content.
What if you put everything in, like you typed it in Word, for example, and, because then you're running all your spell checks or whatever on there. If you then copy and paste, will you lose all your formatting and have to reformat it? Is that how it works?
That's the best way to do it, actually.
So you can paste your text in and then format it when you're.
You should plan to do the formatting in WordPress, because if you format in Word and then you paste it in, and then you switch to this view, which you should hopefully never need to use, but if you did, you would see a lot of extraneous HTML in here that should not be there, and that is a result of pasting from Word. So, as far as using Word because of the spell check, of course it's not.
Or other stuff.
See, there's spell check right here.
Yeah.
You don't need to use Word for spell check. I'll right click on that. Suggestions. I don't see suggestions. I don't see a suggestion, but I know how to spell that properly. So, anyway, now there is a feature here, paste as text, and that is intended for exactly that. So if you have prepared it in Word, right here, paste as plain text will remove all the formatting. This says try turning this off if you've got a paste from Word. Therese, I think we tried that and it sort of worked okay, didn't it?
Yes.
But I just don't. I don't know why you wouldn't just work in WordPress. I mean,
If you're an editor, you would.
Yeah.
Because we got like 1,000 macros we're
Yes.
using to make sure everything's consistent.
Okay.
When you're working in paper and in print versus on the web, it doesn't look the same.
that's right. Well, this is one of the drawbacks, again, of working in something like Word and then trying to put it into your website. When you use something like Word, you're working with a fixed format. Every page you're going to print is 8.5 by 11, and you're going to choose the margins, and you know that everyone's going to see the same thing. Everyone that receives that printed piece gets it exactly the way you've designed it. That is not the case on the web. Okay, if I'm using a phone, I see this. Okay, if I'm using a tablet, maybe I see this, and if I'm using a computer or a laptop, I see this. So when you work in Word or anything like that, it's misleading because you make everything just so, but that's not how everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to see it different. So you have to kind of change your mindset to be, I'm delivering text and it's going to flow differently on every device. And for those reasons, I would rather just work right in WordPress. But you can certainly work in something else and then do paste as text if you've got all your tools prepared. I understand why you might want to do that.
If you want to cut and paste a whole bunch of text, and you have something like just a plain text editor, better to run it through that than Word.
That's a reasonable way to do it. It's also the one time that I would suggest to a client they might want to switch to the text view. Usually, if a client has to switch to this view, we would usually regard that as a failure, that we had done something that we didn't make it easy enough for them to use the website. But in the one example of pasting from, you know, some other thing, if you take your text from Word and copy it and paste it in here, it will not transfer any of the formatting. And so it's actually not a bad reason to use that.
Word's kind of notorious for adding all kinds of stuff, isn't it?
It does. Whether you blame Word or you blame WordPress for receiving it, you know, do you blame Word for sending it or WordPress for receiving it? I don't know, but it's usually not going to come out the way you intended anyway, so it's best to just kind of not expect that at all. Okay, so
Did you talk about the font?
in what sense?
Well, can you choose the font?
No, you cannot choose the font.
Only in the font.
You choose the font by choosing the theme. And you choose a collection of fonts typically. Usually, like, you know, if we look at what this site looks like, we've got some sans serif, and we've got some serif, and the designer of this theme has chosen fonts and said, these are the fonts that I think go well together in this particular design. And if you disagree, you probably choose a different theme. So you know, you do not typically get to choose a font. There are themes that will give you like a full list of Google fonts to choose from.
What would happen
If you think about kind of your worst nightmare of typography, you know, something done by somebody that's well-meaning, but it's the first time they've used Word and they want to create a newsletter, and it's got 15 different fonts and 12 different colours on the newsletter. I think that, you know, when you have your theme that delivers you every font you could possibly ever want, there's a temptation to use them. Probably the people in this room are the least likely to be tempted by that, because you get that. But, you know, it's really about choosing the theme that has the typography and the font selection and so on that you want. I want to show something that that's not. I'm going to go to a different thing here. So I want to show you a really useful feature. Oops. Did I not run that? I didn't run that. Okay. While that's starting out, I'm going to go back here. So when I talk about deleting some of the junk, again, I said this is one example of that. If we go view this post, it's got this hello world post and it's got a comment. And none of that is useful for our real site. So we're going to go back and we're going to trash that. Now when we go back to the site, it says, oh, there's nothing there. The reason for that is this site, or when you first install WordPress, it's set up as a blog. And what I mean by that is, if we go to the main settings, we go to reading, what does the front page display? By default, it displays your latest posts. So that's what you would want if you were a blogger. You would just want, you know, those chronologically ordered posts on the homepage. In many cases, I don't know if it's more the majority or not, but I would say it's pretty typical that people do not want that. They want a page for their front page. So we're going to go in here, we're going to say, I want a static page. I'm going to select the one page we have, which is the sample page, which you would never actually publish. And now we go back to the site, and now we've got the sample page as the home page. But maybe we want the blog somewhere on the site. So we'll go back to posts, we'll go to the trash. Oh, I made a terrible mistake, I want this back. Restore it, and now we got our post back. Now how do we get that to show up on the site? Because it's not there now, there's no way to really see it. There is this recent post link here, but for most people what they're really looking for is some kind of navigation. So if we make a menu, let's add sample page to the menu. Let's make this the primary menu. Save that. I'm now going to make a page. I'm going to add a new page. Call it blog. I'm not going to put anything on it. So what's the point of that? Let's have a look at what we have here. So we've got sample page. Here's this navigation menu. Wait, is that right? Oh, I didn't add the blog page. Okay, I'm sorry. Menus. Blog. That is. Okay, now we've got 2 entries in our menu. To visit the site. Okay, now we've got sample and blog. There's nothing there. Well, the reason is we didn't say settings. Medium. We didn't say where we wanted the post to be. So now I'm going to say I want the post page to be the blog page. We'll save that. So now we've got something that's more like a typical website. We've got a page and we've got navigation, and one of the navigation entries is the blog, and there are the posts. There's only one for this, but there it is. I told you how important it was to keep everything updated. So here's one I prepared earlier. In other words, there are updates pending. There's an updates thing here. It says there are 3. It's a red circle. It's important. It's up here as well. It's here as well. It's here as well. Like, it's basically saying you need to do some updates here. Now, one thing I will point out: if we build a website for you and you take our advice that when you log in you are not a full administrator user, you are just an editor level user, you won't see this because we'll be taking care of this for you if we're maintaining the site for you. You will go in as an editor and you will work with content and you won't have to think about any of this stuff. But if you are running your own site and you're the administrator, you absolutely need to be thinking about it. So let's go, let's follow this link and see what's going on here. Okay, so 2015, this theme, we have version 1.0 and there's an update available. I'm going to check this box, I'm going to say update themes. It downloads the latest version, and there we are, it's done. Okay, it's that easy. Therese, hold your question, because I know you're going to have a question. I'm updating plugins here, I click that, it's done. I mean, how could that be so easy? I don't know of another content management system that makes it anywhere near as easy to keep things up to date. I really don't.
But that line up there, important
Yep.
for updating.
Yes, very important. So, I said that you must keep everything backed up and that really what you need is automatic backups. You will know, either from personal experience or from talking to other people, that when you go to Microsoft Update and you install the updates, and sometimes it comes out badly. The most important program that you have on your computer doesn't work anymore, or Windows won't even start anymore, whatever it might be. Sometimes things go wrong. That's not a reason to stop installing updates, it's a reason to have backups, okay? So that you can recover from a situation like that. It's no different with WordPress. Whether you're updating a plugin or a theme or what's called the WordPress core software, more terminology for you, you must have backups before you update it, because sometimes it comes out badly. Okay, your site is broken, you've got what's called the white screen of death, which is you go to a website and it's just a blank page. It's called the white screen of death. These things can happen, and if you have backups, no worries, you just restore your backup and you're on your way. If you don't have backups, you're in trouble. So, I clicked update on WordPress core and it's doing its thing, and it's done. So, Therese, your question is, why are we paying him a monthly fee to do this?
Actually.
Well, it's actually a lot more that you're paying for than just doing the updates. And we do it on a regular basis, and the automatic backups are included and all that stuff. But also, if we did all those updates and it all went wrong and it all broke, we get it back working for you, and there's no additional charge. So that's some of the reasoning. But the actual act of updating is very straightforward. So there's no excuse not for doing it.